history with MacRostie, and it's been amazing past few years. So we're really glad to be able to fill this space with our art. My name is Buckanaga. I am Ojibwe from Cass Lake. Grew up in Mille Lacs, and now we are making art together in Minneapolis. Yeah.
Thank y'all for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause. Because if not, we wouldn't have nobody to talk to. So thank you. My name is Omikali, or James Harvin, and I am Afro-Indigenous. My people come from the mountains in Mexico, we're called Nahua, and Rappahannock from Virginia, and an African American. And yes, we've been making art for the past 3 years together, and it's been beautiful, but this is our very first exhibit. So yeah, no, you get, yes. You get the first one, and it's been beautiful. It's been a great experience. What you're seeing here is our stories kind of woven together, because when we first met, we met at New York Fashion Week, because Amber is a 5-time New York Fashion Week designer. And she, was like, I need a model, and I guess I could be that, right? I don't know, and then she invited me out to, after we did the show, she invited me out to a restaurant with her and a friend, and we must have spent all evening just talking, and our stories were just so intertwined that evening was just one of the most magical things ever. And we do have a poem that kind of represents that evening at the end over there. But yeah, our stories were so intertwined. Me, I grew up in Harlem, New York, and my family, I kind of was an orphan. My mom died at an early age, didn't know my biological father. And so the person that raised me is who is kind of in this artwork. His story is here because he was a civil rights activist and kind of raised me with that background. But when I grew up, I was like, I kind of also want to know who I am. Where do I come from? And through Ancestry and 23andMe, I learned more about who I am. I was able to find my maternal family 4 years ago now, and I found all my siblings because we were all fostered and gone in all other directions, and so I think my mom will be proud that we all know each other now. And yeah, throughout that whole journey, I was learning more about my indigenous side and my African American side, and just this powerful story over here. But Amber was also doing the same thing. She found out that her grandfather was an African American man, and that story just kind of unfolded, and we've been just kind of going through these family findings together. And so what you see here is those findings. As you walk and you start from this side to the very end, you see our great-grandparents here on this table, and we wanted this piece to really tie together of we're our ancestors' wildest dreams, and like they fought for so much, and we're able to experience those liberties and everything because of them. So we stand on their shoulders. And as you go through it, each piece is like, this is our story together, her Ojibwe art and my Nahua art together on a blanket. And then we have what we really, I just love this piece over here. You want to say more about the beads, or you want to the beadwork?
Oh yeah. So the idea to have beaded dog tags is something that I had the idea a long time ago, like around the time that I first started learning how to bead, but I didn't really have the kind of skill or the full idea to really make it come to life, or maybe just the reasons why I would make something like that. But going through my family history and learning more about what that all means, the idea kind of formed more, and then it just kind of the supplies to actually make it kind of just were given to me. Like somebody gave me a box of like donated beads, and the chain was in there, and then like all the things to match, and we kind of already had the idea to do a piece surrounded by this, so it kind of just happened. So the tags kind of coming to life it's pretty special.
And then the two wood pieces surrounding the dog tags are my 5 times great grandfather and then the great grandfather. And her great grandfather escaped from a boarding school in Philandrew, South Dakota, and walked all the way to Cass Lake, Minnesota. And that was just such a beautiful story. And then we found my 5 times great grandfather. He was born in 1840. He was a slave in Virginia. Then he was sold from his family that was in Virginia there to South Carolina. He ran away from South Carolina to Virginia, following the North Star, found his family at that plantation, ran away to the north, fought in the Civil War. Then afterwards, he bought the plantation that he was enslaved on. And that is the land where most of my family in Virginia kind of live in now. So I just wanted to share that story through art. And yeah, when we found these wood planks, it was so cool. And then the piece over here is, he's not my biological dad, but he's my dad. And this is a story of, and he tells it to me, and he told it to Amber. He used to walk to school, and as he would go to school, white kids would throw rocks at him because he was trying to get educated. And at one time in middle school, he just stopped going to school because he was just tired of getting beat. But he would take the railroad tracks because it was elevated and that he could see if they were coming, and he could like run on the train tracks. So this is an interactive piece. You can lift up each rock one by one and get pieces of the poem. But on the painting, there's a contrapuntal poem where you can read separately and then also together. And that way you get the full picture. So, yeah, and then as we go through, you see these wonderful design pieces because Amber is an amazing fashion designer. And the pink outfit represents her father. And this was designed for last year's New York Fashion Week, where we went to New York with a group of individuals from here. And it was an amazing time and experience. And luckily, the person who bought it allowed us to be able to showcase it here for you all. And then this jacket is supposed to represent my father, and he's an amazing herbalist. He would take me into the woods and find anything, and for medicine. And I believe that had he kept, going to school, maybe he would have been a botanist, or maybe he would experience something. So this is his what if. Explain the canvases.
I think when we got to this portion, we kind of wanted to think about and be inspired by our grandmothers and the balance that they give us, especially in homemaking and mothering, and then taking the gathering history of the Ojibwe people and kind of using that as the inspiration behind both of these, the canvas set and the gown. The gown is from my first collection that I showed at New York Fashion Week in 2019, and then the very first show that I did here after that was here at MacRostie, so that gown walked then. The applique on it, same berries that are in the canvases, that is new, so that's in addition to the gown. Yeah.
And then we have this lovely copper sewing box that represents Amber because, again, she doesn't hype herself up, so that's why I'm here. I will tell you, I've seen her create some of the most magical pieces in such short time because she's so passionate about it. And although, these things would take me 30 years to try to make, because I had to learn how to do it. She does it in an instant, and it's just because she's so skilled and just loves what she does. And so this box is supposed to represent, and the inside you see thread. It's just her passion for creating and designing. And then beside it is probably my favorite look of all time, and we showed this at last year's New York Fashion Week as well. And then the piece that is the green and purple is supposed to represent, not purple, burgundy. It represents me. So this look we co-designed for New York Fashion Week 2024, and it's because of my African American and Nahua heritage. I wanted to have a piece, and then she created a Thunderbird, and it was so cool to see it go down the runway for the very first time. And let's see, we have a poem of the night we met. It kind of intertwines, but it all culminates into this beautiful black and white painting where, meeting Amber, I became a father at the same time, right? And that's his name, Nibagijik, and it means night sky. So as you go through each generation, we're here to pass it on to the next generation. You know, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, but we will also be ancestors one day. So what kind of future will we leave them, you know? And so it just kind of, throughout it all, it's just a reminder that we should be good stewards of the earth to each other and to, you know, bring a future of hope and love. And at the very, very end is a guitar that looks pretty rough. That is just an indicator that I want to teach Neeb music when he grows up, but it's my very first guitar, and it was given to me while a person ran across the street and said, "Hey, I'll give you this guitar for $10 to my dad when I was 8. He gave him 5. He just took off running. My dad looked down at me. He said, "This is stolen, so we need to go back home." And so I still have it. But all in all, we hope that as you go through these art pieces that you're just reminded of the people who came before you as you evaluate yourself, right, and know who you are, but also pass that on to the future. So this is, as the beautiful title says, our what ifs became real life. We are our great-great-grandparents' what ifs, and here we are in real life. So thank y'all.